Roger is a brilliant producer in terms of knowing what the market is, anticipating the trends, and then capitalizing.
He was a trendsetter for years. I mean, he in the 60s, he set every trend.
Tell them who you are.
Oh, I am Allan Arkush.
I have to tell them all the time. I'm Joe Dante.
And we used to edit trailers. Wait a minute, let me check that we're in the right place. Is this trailer trash number 10? Is that where we're supposed to be?
Yeah,
that's where we're supposed to be.
Say, yes.
And it looks like it's pretty full.
Yeah, well, everybody loves trailers.
You give the people what they want. And this was starting in 1974, the Roger Corman trailer making factory.
Consisting of two people making trailers, him and me.
Yeah. And between 74 and 79.
Yeah, well, we didn't last here that long.
Yeah.
We pulled up stakes because
Yeah.
Roger was always going wherever Jack Rabin had an open room for him, and Jack kept moving his offices all the time and going into different companies and going bankrupt and then starting another company. And so Roger would move around a lot in the trailer department. But there was just a couple of moviolas and us. I mean, we had a couple of benches. There really wasn't a lot to move. So we moved all over Hollywood. But this was the original mainstay, and then it moved to the place we'll show you later, El Centro.
So my first day when I came here was 50 years ago. Okay, I'm okay. And here's what was being edited. Well, I can just give you guys historical context. Candy Striped Nurses, Cage Heat, and a drive-in classic called Cries and Whispers.
Yes.
I wrote a screenplay about 4 women who met for a few days in dramatic circumstances.
The major studios had decided that they weren't making enough money distributing foreign art films, and so they were sort of languishing. And Roger decided he saw an opportunity here, and he went to Bergman and he said, I can get your picture in front of people who have never seen any of your movies before by dubbing them and playing them in drive-ins. And Bergman went, okay. And it worked out great. It was a picture won an Academy Award, and Bergman got all sorts of awards and all sorts of recognition, and it led to Truffaut and Fellini and a lot of other big names going to Roger and saying, distribute our pictures.
Some of the stuff that we cut here is The Harder They Come, Cockfighter, Monty Hellman, and I think Big Bad Mama, CoverGirl Models. You can't find the CoverGirl Models trailer anymore.
I have a 35.
You do?
I do.
Oh,
It's a little
God.
faded, but
There's a classic.
it's true. It's a trailer redux. It's a summation of all of our trailer stuff.
Well, you know what I think is that as well? Crazy Mama.
Yes, Crazy Mama.
I think Crazy Mama is when people trace your evolution as a filmmaker.
Unfortunately, neither of these are very good movies.
It's between the movie Orgy and Piranha. Crazy Mama stands as the link.
It's true. There's a lot of movie orgy in the Crazy Mama.
Yes.
Cruising America in 57, they blasted their way to rock and roll heaven.
That's the kind of thing we did.
Anyway, we did catch lines and stuff.
Yeah.
And some of these movies, particularly the ones that came from the Philippines, were not up to the level of your average major studio picture. And so we did a lot of faking in the trailer. And in CoverGirl Models is kind of famous because there's an exploding helicopter in it, which is actually a model. And what we would do is whenever a trailer was dull, and some of the pictures weren't that good, we would just have somebody shoot off a gun and cut to the exploding helicopter.
Yeah.
And then because so many of these pictures were advertised heavily on television, most people didn't see the trailers. They saw the TV spots. And they would be in constant rotation. And so people would see these TV spots with the exploding helicopter, and then a week later they'd go to the movie, and they wouldn't remember that there was an exploding helicopter unless they saw the TV spot again.
Right.
And then they'd go, hey, where was that exploding helicopter? I must have gone to the bathroom or something. Anyway, we got a lot of mileage out of our exploding helicopter.
Yeah. So we were here till 76. So in total, I think you and I caught about 50 trailers.
Probably.
Yeah, and about another 50 to 75 TV spots, because sometimes we did 2.
Yeah.
Some of my favorites that you did, Amarcord. Great
It's a
trailer.
classy movie. I mean,
I
how can you
know.
do a bad trailer for it?
Death Race 2000 is a great one.
Death Race 2000 was Roger had there was a deal where there was a thing called a 60-second teaser, and the trailers would run that for free, and then when the picture came out, and then a trailer would supplant it, and they would have to pay for that. Well, Roger decided not to make a trailer, just to charge them for the teaser. So the only thing that was ever done on that picture was the 60-second teaser. And one of the reasons was because there was a little controversy between Roger and the director, Paul Bartella, as to how much comedy there should be in the movie. And so when we went to cut the trailer, it was too funny. And Roger said, just use the teaser. And we did. And nobody ever... We never got
It's a
caught.
really good teaser.
It
you
is
know?
a good teaser. It's a
It's
good movie.
it's the beginning of what the mature style of yeah. And this was the Technicolor building, and not just any Technicolor.
It was IB Technicolor. It was the original Technicolor with the 3 different layers of dye pressed on each other. And what was great about it was that it was all one piece of film that went through the entire building, 3 strips, and then converged down on a console where they would finally adjust the color. And the color didn't fade. I mean, the great thing about these prints was that they look just as good now as they did when they were made in the 30s. So it was exciting. I mean, it was an exciting time. It was an exciting place to be. And when Technicolor went belly up, they had a raft of prints of Technicolor pictures that studios didn't want anymore. And sometimes the companies had gone out of business, but mostly they were just all over the... She wore a yellow ribbon, IB Technicolor, sitting there in the hallway.
Well, here we are, film fanatics, across from the Taj Mahal of color. Right? And we used to stand here and look at those prints all stacked up. And we came up with all these schemes of breaking in and stealing all the prints.
Liberating them. we called it.
Liberating the film. In those days on film, you had to put blank film between your sound cuts. Okay? And that you got...
Fill leader, we used to call it.
What?
Fill leader.
Fill leader. They would send you all these reels of stuff, which are
Junk reels.
junk reels. And of course, we watched them all, which was insane.
A lot of cartoons, a lot of good cartoons.
Yeah.
A lot of trailers.
I'm going to tell them about the existential duck.
Okay.
So we're watching, what movie was that? Was it Disney?
The $1 Million Duck.
$1 Million Duck. And it's running, and then we see this shot of this duck going out one door, across the room, pan, and goes out another. So Joe cuts it out of the picture and makes a loop. So this duck is endlessly walking across this room.
It's very existential.
And we called it the existential duck loop. And we'd put it on whenever we needed to really think.
Because lots of good ideas came while we were watching the duck loop. Because lots of good ideas came while we were watching the duck loop. Because lots of good ideas came while we were watching the duck loop.
Existential duck loop, yes. This is the second editing room, 1607 North El Centro. Now, for some reason, somebody stole the plaque that was here with our names on it. I mean,
Alan, there was never a plaque.
there was never a plaque? I remember a plaque, Joe.
Yeah, well, you remember a lot of things. Anyway, this is where all the magic happened because we did most of our trailers in this building, and many of our classics. But it was, and we were here for a long time. I mean, I was here actually until I left New World.
Yeah, me too. This is the last trailer I cut was The Lady in Red.
The last trailer I cut was Star Crash. And that was after I had edited Grand Theft Auto, and I'd actually made a couple of pictures, but then I came back to do a couple of trailers.
Speaking of pictures, all the pictures that were cut in here.
Yeah. I Never Promised You a Rose Garden was cut
Yeah,
in there.
Grand Theft Auto,
Grand Theft Auto.
Rock and Roll High School.
And not to mention a whole lot of porno pictures that Gary Craver used to edit and sometimes direct. And one time, Orson Welles actually was in this building helping Gary Craver finish a trailer for 3 a.m. because he needed Gary for more pickups on the other side of the wind or something. And he said, Gary, I'll come in, I'll do it. Let's just finish it.
Yeah, and Gary was the DP on
Death
Sport, first unit on Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
It was a regular group of people here. Jonathan Demme was here, Ron Howard.
And everybody they were all film buffs.
Yeah.
And so there was constant talk about what movies and B-movies and making movies, and it was a cultural hub. Oddly
And we
enough.
had the world's greatest film buff come by to do the narration on his trailer, Francois Truffaut. was in this building and narrated the trailer for Small Change. And big shots that we took him to the Hamburger Hamlet.
We did. He was very impressed.
Some of
We
the other
actually,
things.
we actually also showed him our movie, Hollywood Boulevard, which we said we called Day for Nothing. He actually thought that was funny, and he didn't speak English that good.
David Cronenberg, we cut Rabbit
was
here.
and the trailer for Rabbit, and also the trailer for The Brood, and which we recut. We actually recut the movie so the MPAA wouldn't give it an X, and then of course, as we always did, we put all the footage back in and released the movie the way it originally was. And the MPAA was so stupid, they never even bothered to watch these movies after they were submitted.
Yeah, and the stuff that we showed them was Roger made the movies in color, and then he made black and white dailies. So they had mostly grayscale, and then we would dupe the black and white dailies at the dupeteria, and they'd be high-con black and white. And then when we brought it to the MPA, they probably were a dupe of a dupe.
Yeah.
And they couldn't see the blood or anything. And they thought we were amusing because other people were very professional, and we didn't know what we were doing.
We certainly weren't very professional.
No. So
And they
we
were
would
very
never
upset.
give them a mixed trailer.
They were very upset when they saw the color version of the Big Bad Mama
Yeah.
trailer because there was blood everywhere. And even we didn't know it because we were cutting in black and white.
Yeah, so we would sit there next to them and do the narration because we had no mixed tracks.
So we do the narration for Cockfighter. And one day we did a funny narration. Frank had the biggest cock in town. And it was a funny thing that we were doing as a joke. And the poor guy almost had a conniption. He said, "No, you can't say that." He said, "We're just kidding. We're just kidding." But
So, yeah,
they liked us over there.
we had our little world here, which once we had to do a trailer for Roger's releases on Fox, Capone.
Yes. So this is a big studio. And Roger had to deal with them. And so he was making some pictures. Capone, Moving Violation, and Fighting Mad.
Yeah, Jonathan Demme's fighting man.
And so we were doing the trailers, and so we had to work with official trailer people who thought that we were out of our minds. These kids, they don't know what they're doing.
Well, yeah, so we go to 20th Century Fox, and there are all these executives, marketing executives in the room. And we sit down with our black and white dupe and one track, and we're going to read the narration while it's playing. And they are watching, I swear to God, it was 12 different versions of At Long Last Love, all mixed. And about version 6, Joe says to me, "I thought this was a musical." They had taken out all the music. So now up comes our black and white mess, and we're shouting and stuff, and there's silence in the room. And they said, "We'll call Roger." Now, guess which movie made more money? That was our foray into the real world. And from here,
But we didn't last long there. We
Yeah.
came back.
so what we would get the movie, we'd dupe it, we'd code it and do all that technical stuff, break it down to shots, cut it, show it to John.
Do narration, which was, you'd end up cutting it to the narration.
Narration, yeah. Then we'd mix it and color correct it and go to the lab. It was a multi-step thing.
Yeah. Went back and forth to the lab all the time in his old crappy car.
Yeah. Ford Falcon 1965, may it rest in peace.
Transmission fell out.
Yeah.
While we were in it.
Well, we're in it, and I had a shit fit. But that's another story.
Probably a better one.
Death Sport was here.
Death Sport, well, you have more Death Sport stories
Oh
than I
my
do.
God.
I can survive your death sport.
I came in on a Saturday, and the director was
He
screaming at the
he was
editor.
called to save Death Sport,
Yeah.
which was a long burgeoning project that Roger had been trying to get off the ground ever since Death Race made a lot of money. And they could never really figure out how to do it. And so he just finally said, well, just let's make it. We got the exhibitors want it. We'll make it. So they made it with a not very good script and a director who didn't know what he was doing, and who everybody on the picture hated each other. And it was a total disaster. And so who did they go to save the picture?
And the deal was, if I worked on the picture, which meant direct it, rewrite it, and re-edit it, he would let me make my high school musical. So I took the deal. It was 6 weeks of intense labor
In the desert.
in the desert, exploding everything, and the big night is here. At the Egyptian on Hollywood Boulevard, we have a sneak preview. And about a third of the way in, the audience is doing catcalls at the movie. And at one point, the projectionist closes the curtain on the movie, and it's being projected on the curtain. It opens, and David Carradine does his famous line, which was, "Now we will have our duel." And somebody yells, "It's about fucking time." Our meeting on the sidewalk with Roger
Was not good.
Yeah, he said, "Well, what can we do?" We said, "Well, we could, I don't know." He says, "Fuck it, send it out." That was the end of Death Sport.
But Roger also used to like to retitle pictures if they didn't make any money. When he did Cockfighter, under the mistaken impression that people in Georgia wanted to see a movie about cockfighting, and it was, he opened it in Georgia, it was a disaster. And he was on vacation. He called in and he said, "I want you to go to the movie and take the scene where Warren Oates goes to bed and turns out the light. And I want you to take some scenes from Night Call Nurses and some scenes from the truck chase and some other movie and some explosions and stuff. And I want you to put them in the picture right after he turns the light off. And that'll be a dream sequence. Then I want you to put all that stuff in the trailer, call it Born to Kill, make a new trailer, don't have any birds in it, and see what happens." So we did that.
And so Joe hears this conversation. He's repeating it so I can hear it. And at the end he goes to Roger, "Really?"
So it didn't work as Born to Kill. It didn't work as Gambling Man. It didn't work. He changed the title several different times. And the tragedy of it was that certain prints were still in circulation that had all the other titles. So at the World Theater on Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood Boulevard, they mistakenly booked Cockfighter and Born to Kill as a double bill. And when the audience found out that they were seeing the same picture twice, they almost wrecked the place.
Yeah.
And this happened a lot.
Yeah, because I recut Final Come Down into Blast.
Right.
And it played again in that theater, and people started yelling, "I've seen this picture." And then as I came out of the movie, they were telling the audience to go away. Yeah.
So not all the experiences were good.
Yeah. It was a golden age.
But it was a lot of fun.
It's time to just wrap this up.
I think it's long after time.
So enjoy the show. I hope some of our trailers end up in the show.
You sure hope so.
Yeah. And so get set. It's 90 minutes of trailers. I don't know if I could do
And
that.
some of them are better than the pictures.
Yes. Yeah. I guess we'll see you 50 years from now.
You don't do trailers.
Okay. Bye.